As I was preparing for this week's message, it's kind of a follow-up on messages that I've done on 2nd and 3rd John. And as you look at 2nd and 3rd John, the main theme of those passages is talking about hospitality, those whom we are to be hospitable to, and those whom we maybe should withhold hospitality to. But it really got me thinking, what really is hospitality? Oftentimes today in our 21st century churches, we think of hospitality as maybe just a Christianized form of entertaining, inviting your church friends over for dinner or maybe for a cup of coffee after the church service and considering that hospitality. But when you look at the term hospitality, the term philoxenia literally means love, brotherly love of strangers, of foreigners, of those maybe outside of your group of interest. And hospitality back in the first century, more to a Jewish audience or to those who may have been living in Asia Minor, the churches there, they would have understood, what hospitality was because many people were traveling through. And so as they're traveling through, you knew in your small village, hey, let's have this person come and stay overnight in our home, not in a hotel or an inn, because those were quite dangerous back then. And so you loved those strangers and you brought those strangers into your homes. Now today, we have many different places where people can be housed as they are traveling through, and I'm not neglecting that. But hospitality for us as 21st century Christians here in America, it can look a little bit different. And this coming up Sunday, this is kind of just a preview, so I encourage you to actually come and attend this Sunday or watch it online on our Facebook page here. But I just want to encourage you that hospitality can look different here in our culture here in America as 21st century Christians, especially here in our individualistic society. And I think kind of to break the ice for us to be more hospitable, it starts really in the local church. As Galatians 6:10 points out, that we're to do good, especially to those who are the household of faith. Looking at other passages as well, as we do good to others, especially in the household of faith, as if we were doing it unto Christ. Hebrews 13 verse 2, when we're hospitable like that, we may be being hospitable to angels unaware, as if we're doing it to God's messengers themselves. And so to break the ice and being more hospitable, I think it goes beyond just looking outside of the church walls to looking inside of the church walls. And it starts with us getting away from the groups that we feel comfortable with, whom we generally hang out with, whom we generally talk to, or maybe just even have over in our home, and look beyond those different groups, look beyond those different people and say, hey, I'm going to go and associate with this person. I'm going to go sit down with this one here on a Sunday morning. Hey, I see their phone number in the directory and I've never actually talked to this person. I'm going to call them up on the phone and maybe we can go out for coffee or whatever it might be. It's looking beyond what is comfortable to us and seeing how we can bless other people that may not be within our inside circle whom we generally hang out with and fellowship with. I think that is starting to break the ice on how we can actually have a love for those whom we generally do not associate with. And then it's from there, I believe God can develop in our heart where we can fulfill hospitality in a further capacity. Whether it's actually having someone come into our home who, within our church, within the Christian community, that needs some place to rest their head because maybe they're kicked out of their home. Maybe been a child or a teenager or a young adult who no longer has a place to stay, or it's very, very tight for them financially. You know, I heard about this one story, and I'll end with this, about a Christian couple who moved out of their hometown and they went to a different town, and when they got there, their housing opportunity was not yet available to them, and they had 3 small kids. And so there was a church family there in the church where they started attending, and they found out about this young couple's needs. And so they invited them into their home until their housing opportunity opened up. And as their housing opportunity opened up, they then were able to move into their, future home. And they found out later that this person who opened up their home to them had just had cancer surgery earlier that week. That is showing that hospitality can be sacrificial in nature. And it's not thinking of ourselves, it's looking beyond ourselves and looking unto the needs of others. So I want to encourage you, especially if you're believing in the Lord Jesus Christ, seek to show hospitality. Thank you for joining me.